Okay, welcome everyone to my short instruction period of multiple modalities of instruction. So I feel very strongly, and I think that there's plenty of research that shows that utilizing multiple modalities of instruction have greater potential learning outcomes for our students in our courses. So, in this short course segment, I'm actually going to show you how I will use multiple modalities to convey some instruction regarding construction details on a job site. But many have talked about multiple modalities over the years, including William James as well as others. But from my perspective and from what I've read, I feel that multiple modalities are going to allow students to learn the material in multiple ways. Each one of those different methods of learning or being exposed to new material has the potential to trigger memory in the future and to facilitate the recollection of the material by making more connections between different ways of learning. So the more connections that we can make for our students, the more likely it is that they'll be able to cue their memory and recall that material because they've connected it with multiple ways of learning. I think a good illustration of that is Google Maps or Waze or whatever map program we use. You know, this is a great illustration here. If we only drive to school or work one route, then that's the only way we know how to get to school or work. But when we have multiple experiences on getting from one place to another, so this is a great example, you know, here's a route to get from point A to point B. Here's maybe our most common route. But when we only know this one route, what if there's an accident in the middle of the route? If we know no other way to get to where we want to go, we're stuck. We have to take that route. But if we're exposed to other ways of reaching the same end goal, so let's take this route to get to where we want to go. If we've got an accident in the middle of our primary route, we can pull into our memory, hey, there's this secondary route we can take and get around that problem and make sense of it. So I think the same holds true in our classrooms when we're teaching students and learning ourselves. I know that personally I've experienced this over the years, that the more ways that I learn the same material, the easier it is for me to recall that material. And we're on a job site today to do some of this, to illustrate some of this, so apologize for some of the background noise. But take that Google Map illustration into account. And I also want to connect back with some of the things that researchers have talked about before us. So William James, in his talks to teachers, says the art of remembering is the art of thinking. When we wish to fix a new thing in either our own mind or a pupil's mind, our conscious effort should not be so much to impress and retain it as to connect it with something else already there. The connecting is the thinking. And if we attend clearly to the connection, the connected thing will certainly be likely to remain within recall. I think that's brilliant. I mean, who am I to say William James was brilliant? But this perspective is one to take note of as instructors. If we can make multiple connections for our students, if we can provide the environment and the atmosphere for them to make multiple connections with the material that we're teaching, then we have facilitated this environment for deeper learning and deeper understanding of the material. So today I want to illustrate this. I'm talking, I want to explain to you or teach you about a construction detail. And my hope is that at the end of this lesson that you'll better understand this particular detail because of the multiple modalities that I'm going to use. So in this particular case, this is a job site that is located on around Lake Kiowee. This is actually the site right here before it was cleared. So you can see this beautiful view of the Blue Ridge. Of course, we can't see it from the site down here, unfortunately. This is just a shot from overhead, but I wanted to give you some perspective of where this project is from a construction standpoint. This was looking north. This image is looking south, and at this point we've cleared the site and excavated the foundation you can see right here. Oconee Nuclear Station right over here. And again, I want to make this connection. I want to make this instruction real for all of you. This is a real construction site in a real place that we can all relate to. Just north of Clemson and up in the Seneca area, and very much tangible to most of us who would be in a class on the Clemson campus. Okay, so closer shot of the site. We've excavated the perimeter of the site here, the foundation that we're about to take a look at. And in particular, I want to cover a detail on this foundation and talk about the way that we're getting this detail done. All right, now we're going to go to what can be more challenging, but is yet one additional modality for covering this material. This is the foundation plan of the house. So this foundation right here is the exact same foundation that I just traced out in that photo. Okay, and a couple of things in this particular foundation. Just want to kind of reiterate that. Here's the foundation on the site. Here's the foundation in CAD. We have a couple of details here that are unique. One right here and one over here. And these are particular foundation details that need some special attention because they're not typical. So here we say, oh, we have a note. Here's a raised foundation detail at the garage. And we have over here a raised crawl space foundation detail. Why do we have these? Well, first off, this garage is going to be 0 step. So the door to the house from the garage is right about here, and we're going to have no steps in from the garage to the house. Being that this is a crawl space foundation, that means that we need to bring the concrete in the garage up to the same height as our wood frame floor system. And we've got to have a unique approach because we can't just pour concrete against wood. We have something in this area called termites, and they might eat that wood away. Likewise, we need to address grade that comes out of this 0 step entry and then falls away from the foundation towards the rear. We need to be able to bring grade up high against the foundation in these two locations. Okay, so we've looked at this. We've seen a photo of the site. We actually have seen now the foundation. Now I want to go into a little more detail. Here's our typical foundation. Our floor system would sit on top of the foundation like so, but we would be limited to only backfill about 6 inches down from the foundation. We can't bring that backfill higher against the wood that's going to be here. All right. So this special detail that we need is pictured here. And we've got a little closer up cross-section detail that is quite different than that foundation view that we looked at. And yet it may be easier to picture what's going on here. With this, we're going to have our floor system back here, and it's going to reside behind this step up of masonry. And with this configuration, we can bring the grade up to the top of this for our concrete level to make a 0-step entry into the building that becomes flush with our floor system, okay? Or on the side where we're running the grade out, we can bring grade on the outside of the building up higher and not have to worry about backfilling against this wood floor system that ordinarily would be a problem without this masonry section there. Okay, so, and yet we've got this cross-section view, but I think even more importantly, a different modality, a different image of this configuration is right here. So now we can see this in an isometric view, so we can tell more of what's going on here. We're going to have concrete up to this height back here, all the way across, okay? And then our floor system will come off this way and, you know, kind of come off the floor there. So we'll have solid floor, solid concrete meeting with the masonry as the junction in between. So I'm going to shift gears now, and we're a little over time, but I want to make the connection to real life. So here we are, we're on this job site. We're here in person. Pretty cool. I want to connect the dots here. So we've looked at the schematic. We've looked at the site as an overview, but we're here live and on site. So if we stand here, this is, from looking at our plan, this will be the garage of the house. Okay, you see the footings already poured. We'll have one of these 0-step details back behind that pile of dirt. And then this is the section where our concrete from the house is going to slope down and then begin sloping away from the house, but we may need to keep it up high and let the dirt backfill against masonry instead of framing. So now we're going to take a look at this in real life. So we looked at our detail, and now we can see it in real life. Our masons are here working, laying this block up, and here's the ledge that our floor system's going to sit on. Our floor system's going to come up to here, okay? We're going to have a treated plate on top, and our subfloor is going to come across, and that allows us to backfill on the other side of this wall. It allows us to backfill much higher, where we're going to have wood framing back here in this direction and backfill on the other side. Likewise, in the garage, we're going to have concrete that comes up to this side, and then the floor system comes across. So when we use these multiple modalities, my hope is that these connections that we're making are making a stronger case and a stronger learning experience for all of you. And my hope is that after this lesson, you better understand this detail. Let me just flip back to, here's the detail that we had in our isometric. Very helpful, much more beneficial than a section view, but yet the section view is still pretty clean. You know, our floor system's behind there. And then the actual 2D view or single dimension view here, not so helpful, right? So we say raised crawl space detail right here, but it's a heck of a lot easier when right here is actually right here, okay? And my hope is that seeing this and making these connections, not only do each of you have more connection points to make with this material, but that also I've been able to illustrate to you that in the classroom, when we can use multiple modalities of instruction, that we can have very powerful outcomes for more connections with our students and the material, and that those connections become cues, right? So we have cues that our students can then use to relate this material and connect it back to the learning, and that the learning outcomes are stronger because of these multiple modalities. So, hey, I'm sorry I couldn't do this live in class. Somehow I got cut off and my computer died. So I was geared up to do this live today. But I hope nonetheless that this has been a useful lesson and that it has explained the power of multiple modalities of teaching. Not to say one modality is better than the other. I think that's been debunked. But that multiple modalities give our students the opportunity to connect in many different ways with the material that ultimately results in more powerful learning and more powerful recollection from our memory. Thanks a bunch.